Dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Vidya for Success. Yes, dear children, in our previous video, we discussed about biomicromolecules and biomacromolecules. So, biomicromolecules are obtained in the acid-soluble pool and biomacromolecules are present in acid-insoluble pool. Right. So in today's video, we are going to discuss about one of the biomicromolecules. So as we discussed in the last class, there are different biomicromolecules are there in the living organism. Right. So one of the biomicromolecule is amino acid. So amino acids are the organic compounds. They are biomicromolecules. Why they are considered as a biomicromolecule? Because their molecular weight is not more than 800 Dalton and they are present in the acid soluble pool. So that amino acids are biomicromolecules. Right. So what is the structure of amino acid? So amino acids are the organic compounds. Organic compounds are nothing but carbon containing compounds, right? And this organic compound consists of amino group and acidic group as a substituents on the same carbon. You can see the structure of amino acid. So this is the basic structure of the amino acid, what you are observing on the screen, right? So at the center of the amino acid, we can see carbon. So carbon usually consists of 4 valency, right? That means it can attached with different 4 different kinds of elements, right? So the carbon present at the center called as alpha carbon. So alpha carbon of amino acid attached with carboxyl group at one end. COOH, what you are observing in the structure, that is called as carboxyl group. So carboxyl group is a acidic group, right? And just opposite to that we can see amino group, NH2. So amino group is a basic group. So a single alpha carbon is attached with one basic group, that is called as amino group, and another acidic group, that is called as carboxyl group. So these two are the substituents on the same carbon, alpha carbon, right? So there are 4 substituent groups occupying the 4 valency position. So we have just discussed about the acidic and basic substituent. And other than these two, we can notice hydrogen at one end and variable group at the another end. So R, what we have written, R means variable group, right? So totally there are 4 different substituents can be seen. They are attached with the single alpha carbon. One is hydrogen, another one is carboxyl group, then amino group and variable group. R is nothing but variable group. So this is for the basic structure of amino acids. So there are different types of amino acids are present in the living organisms, right? So out of many amino acids, mainly 20 different types of amino acids, they are involved in the protein synthesis. Understood? So only 20 different types of amino acids are involved in protein synthesis. But there are some amino acids, they are not at all participate in the protein formation. Best example is ornithine, right? Ornithine is also a kind of amino acid that is not involved in the formation of protein. Understood? So what I told you, the 20 different types of amino acid, those 20 different types of amino acid consist of the same substituents, that means amino group, carboxyl group and H group will be same, and they are different only based on the kind of variable group what they have. So the variable group is not same in all the amino acid. So based on what substituent is present in the variable group, we can divide the amino acid into different types, right? So in some of the amino acid, in place of R group, we can see hydrogen, or in some we can see CH3 group, methyl group. So like this, based on the substituent group, what is present in the variable R group position, we can divide the amino acids into different types. Understood? So amino acids, because they are participating in the protein formation, they are called as building blocks of protein, because in the protein formation amino acids are very essential. So many amino acids, they bond with one another with a peptide bond and form a long chain. That long chain is nothing but protein chain. So that amino acids are called as building blocks of protein, right? So let us see the different types of amino acids based on the kind of variable group. So there are 20 different types of amino acids. They are participate in the protein formation. And these 20 different types are divided based on the kind of R group what they have. Understood? So the best example I have displayed on the screen. You can see the first kind of amino acid what we are observing, that is named as glycine. So glycine contain hydrogen as a R group. So what is the kind of R group we have in glycine? So R group is hydrogen here. Clear? So there is a centrally located carbon, and at one end we have amino group, at another end carboxyl group, and hydrogen is present. And in the variable R group position also we have hydrogen. So when the hydrogen is present in place of R group, that amino acid is named as glycine. And the second amino acid is alanine, right? So in case of alanine, the methyl group is present in the variable R group position. You can have a look into the second structure, what I have displayed on the screen. So there is a carbon at one end, carboxyl group, then amino group, and in place of variable R group we can see methyl, CH3 is present. Clear? So if the methyl is present in the R group, that amino acid is named as alanine. Then one more example is serine. So in case of serine, the R group present is hydroxymethyl. So if hydroxymethyl is present in the variable R group, that amino acid is named as serine. Understood, children? So this is how we divide the amino acids into number of different types. So what is the basis for the classification here? So based on the kind of R group, what is there in the amino acid, they are divided into different types, right? And based on the number of carboxyl group and amino group, amino acids are divided into acidic, basic or neutral amino acids, right? Suppose if one of the amino acid consists of more than one carboxyl group. So carboxyl group is actually acidic group. So when the acidic group is present in more number, that amino acid is considered to be a acidic amino acid. Right? Say for example, there is a one amino acid that consists of more than one amino group. So that particular amino acid is considered as a basic amino acid because the basic group is present in more number. Clear, children? So like this, based on the number of amino and carboxyl group, amino acids are divided into different types. So the best example of acidic amino acid is glutamic acid, because here the acidic group is present in the amino acid. right? So because it consists of acidic group, more number of acidic group, the amino acid is considered as a acidic amino acid. Then there is a one more example, that is basic amino acid. So what do you mean by basic amino acid? So basic amino acid is nothing but there is a basic group, positive group is present at one end of the amino acid, so that the amino acid is considered as a basic amino acid, right? And there's a one more type is present, that is called as neutral amino acid. What do you mean by neutral? So neutral amino acid consists of equal number of basic group as well as acidic group. So when the amino acid consists of equal number of basic and acidic group, such a amino acid is considered as a neutral amino acid. Best example is valine. Understood, children? So you have to remember the name of amino acid if we come to the acidic, basic and neutral amino acids. Right? Acidic amino acid is glutamic acid. It is very easy to remember, but because in the name itself we have acid. Glutamic acid is a kind of acidic amino acid. Basic amino acid is lysine. Neutral amino acid is valine. And there are some aromatic amino acids are also present. So why they are called as aromatic amino acid? Because they consist of cyclic variable group, right? So because they consist of cyclic variable group, they are considered as a aromatic amino acids. So best example is tyrosine and phenylalanine. So these are the different kinds of amino acids. So they are divided based on the kind of variable group what they have, and also be divided based on the number of amino and carboxyl group. So children, there is a one more criteria is also present for the differentiation of amino acid. So that is nothing but essential amino acid and non-essential amino acid. So that I will explain when we are discussing about the macromolecules, biomacromolecules. Understood? Yes. Yes, there is a one more very important concept of amino acid, that is Zwitter ionic form. So amino acid exists in Zwitter ionic form when it is dissolved in water. Right? What do you mean by the Zwitter ionic form? Why it exists in Zwitter ionic form? So we have seen the basic structure of amino acid, right? So there is a carbon, alpha carbon is present. That alpha carbon consists of one amino group and one carboxyl group. So these two groups are ionizable in nature. So this is a particular property we can see in the amino acid. So carboxyl group and the amino group, they are highly ionizable in nature, so that when we put the amino acid in water in the neutral solution, it changes its structure. Understood? So let us understand properly by looking into the equation. So in this equation, first you observe the amino acid structure. So they have given the basic amino acid here. So there is a carbon at the center and basic group at one end and acidic group at the another end. Then we have hydrogen and variable R group. So when we dissolve this amino acid in water, so water is a neutral liquid, fluid, right? So when we place the amino acid in neutral solution, ionization takes place. Understood? So the hydrogen from the carboxyl group is received by the amino group of the amino acid. So that you can notice in the equation, from the carboxyl group, the proton, that means the hydrogen, moved towards the NH2 group, so that amino group here is proteinated. So the proteinated amino group looks like this. So instead of NH2, we have to write NH3 plus. So proteinated is nothing but it gained one hydrogen from the carboxyl group. Understood? So because of the proteinated amino group, we can see both the charges in a single amino acid. Positive charge on the amino group and negative charge on the carboxyl group. So when a single amino acid consists of positive as well as negative charge, such an amino acid form is called as Zwitter ionic form. So when the amino acid is actually exhibits Zwitter ionic form, so when it is dissolved in the neutral solution, so here we have taken water, right? So when it is dissolved in the this one neutral solution, so proteination takes place, so that a proton from the carboxyl group is received by the amino group. So amino group is here proteinated. So a single amino acid shows both the charges. So because the carboxyl group is deprotonated, it got negative charge here, and the amino group, because it is proteinated, it gain one of the proton here, so that it is positively charged. Clear? So this is the Zwitter ionic form of amino acid. So how can we define this Zwitter ionic form? So Zwitter ion is a dipolar ion. Understood? Or it is also called as a neutral molecule because it consists of both the charges. A single amino acid consists of both the charges, positive as well as negative charge. Right? So when the amino acid consists of both the charges, when it is dipolar in nature, so such a form of amino acid is called as Zwitter ionic form. Understood? And let us see what is the nature of amino acid when it is placed in acidic and basic pH. Is the structure of amino acid changes in solution of different pH. So when we change the pH of solution, that in turn changes the structure of amino acid. Right? So we came to know that the structure of amino acid in the neutral solution. So in the neutral solution, the amino acid exhibits in Zwitter ionic form. That means it consists of both the charges. Right? So let us have a look into the equation. So this is the equation showing how the changes in the amino acid structure takes place when it is placed in low pH or in high pH. Right? So just have a look into the structure of Zwitter ion first. So Zwitter ion consists of both the charges, right? So NH3 is positively charged, COO is negatively charged. So we are placing this Zwitter ionic form into the low pH. So low pH in the sense the solution is acidic in nature. So its pH come from 1 to 6. So when the pH is low, the solution will be acidic, right? So the acidic solution consists of more hydrogen ion. So more hydrogen will be present. So when we decrease the pH of solution, hydrogen from the solution move towards the carboxyl group. So the carboxyl group here is get proteinated. Understood, right? So that amino acid gain one proton from the solution because more hydrogen is present in the solution because it is acidic solution. So when there is a more hydrogen in the solution, hydrogen from the solution move towards the carboxyl group. So that carboxyl group is proteinated here. Understood? So because the carboxyl group is get proteinated, amino acid will get positive charged. Understood? So the gaining of the proton takes place when the amino acid is placed in acidic pH or low pH. You can observe the first equation what they have given. And they have also indicated the pH level there, low pH. So when the amino acid is placed in low pH, that means in acidic solution, carboxyl group, that means COO minus group is proteinated. That means it will gain hydrogen from the solution. So as a result, the amino acid will be positively charged. Understood, right? So this is what the changes we can see when we decrease the pH. Right? And just you can look into the right side equation. What happens to the amino acid when we increase the pH? So increasing pH indicates the basic solution. So the solution will become basic when we increase the pH. Right? So when the amino acid is in the basic solution, amino acid actually lost proton, because the basic solution consists of more OH minus group. So hydroxyl group is present in more concentration in the basic solution. So when there is a more hydroxyl group in the solution, what happens is deprotonation takes place from the amino acid. That means one of the hydrogen from the amino group move towards the hydroxyl group of solution and a molecule of water will be formed. Understood? So because one of the proton is lost from the amino group, so this is called as deprotonation. So amino group here is deprotonated. Understood? So amino acid lost one proton. Clear? So that the amino acid will be negatively charged here. Clear? So there is a negatively charged amino acid can be seen when we place the amino acid in a basic solution. So this is what the structural changes can be seen in different pH. So when the amino acid is placed in the neutral solution, it exhibits in zwitterionic form. Understood? So when it is placed in the low pH, that means in acidic solution, the carboxyl group is protonated, so that we can see the basic amino acid. That means the amino acid is positively charged. So when there is only positive charge we can see in the amino acid, such a amino acid is called as a basic amino acid. And when we place the amino acid in the basic solution, what happens? So when it is placed in the basic solution, deprotonation takes place from the amino group. So amino group lost one hydrogen. So that lost hydrogen mixed with the hydroxyl group of solution and form a molecule of water. Right? So as a result, we can see only negative charge on the amino acid. So because amino acid is negatively charged in the basic solution, the amino acid is called as acidic amino acid. Understood? So this is what the structural changes can be seen in the amino acid when we change the pH of the solution. So you have to understand this concept because this is very, very important thing. So you have to practice the equation here. So equation is reversible. So we can change the nature of amino acid by changing the pH of the solution. That means from acidic form we can convert into basic, from basic we can convert into acidic form by changing the pH of solution. Understood? Yes.